So let's try once again from the beginning about the calculator jobs. So anything that deals with input and output files is called a calculator. I mean, the Prolog endpoints are called calculators. And so how we trigger a job either through the /upload or through the /reference route. /reference route takes a parameter that is a URL of a file. The file is fetched. At some point we should figure out some security measures, but that's not trivial, and also it's not strictly necessary as long as the whole server is protected behind authentication. Also, there are several places in the whole server where we may need to fetch remote files, and eventually we should unify this logic. And there's also something to be said about security, and the stance I have adopted is that it's basically gonna be impossible to make the Prolog process immune to attacks. I think robust. It's also fully open source, so it's like a self-serve kind of thing. And if there is gonna eventually be a server serving multiple organizations or the like, there should be a method where a fresh worker, virtual machine, or container is spawned for probably each request, really, each job, or at least each user account. And yeah, even the initial fetching of the files that should be processed could be kind of in the security responsibility circle of the individual user's account. But let's keep going. So the reference route fetches a file, and we create a temporary directory for the request files. Once again, So once again, the temporary directories are these ones. There's it's a bit of an overkill in trying to come up with a unique name. Really, the last part, I believe, this is already a unique name generated by the Triple Store server. It's like a fresh blank node name, but this is like I don't know, Python process ID or something. This is a timestamp when it was spawned. But this directory actually is a directory where the results were put. This is what a request directory looks like. So we save the file here. And then we call process request. And the other way is through uploading the file. This weirdness, file 1, file 2. And this is because of the Excel plugin code base and maybe some C# weirdness, at least in some old versions, that the Excel plugin is still on. So yeah, we are able to accept 2 files currently. Because we never needed to accept more files at once. And finally, process request. Okay, configuration. The request, yeah, the request. One of the files could actually be the request JSON, and it can contain like JSON with options for the worker process. There currently isn't any logic like limiting, or there's no need to limit, like if the request can control if the prolog process should be made to run with graphical debugging turned on or off. But it's enough for our purposes. And finally, we enqueue the job. RabbitMQ saves the message, and that's really the only way we currently store the fact that a job is in process. From there, a worker container takes it, but we will get to that later. Requested output format. This is due to the historical development of the Excel plugin mainly, and yeah, so some of the endpoints are used through a user interface through code that only does like simple synchronous HTTP request and expects, sends an XML and expects an XML to come back. Then we have extended that with the idea of like a report list, which you can actually see an example here. It's a list of items where each item should like reference a file containing a report or other data. And eventually we've developed this method where the client should communicate with the robust server asynchronously. Just enqueue a message, get back a job handle, which is the unique ID like this. And when it has the job handle, it can repeatedly query the job route. It can keep asking if the job has finished. A job is a message in terms of, remove late in its terminology. So we are asking for the state of the message. We calculate how long it took to finish the work, and we try to obtain the result. The results are stored because RabbitMQ is just for message passing. And the results are, Remulate has like a whole API for, they call it middlewares. What's the documentation? Result middleware, it comes down to using the Postgres database or Redis. Or maybe something else for storing the results. So the results go to Redis, I believe. And this is another piece. The Remulate API is actually another container. Where is it? Here. It's a web server too. So we grab the result. And we send it back. And we have a job view route where the template is filled with the job details. We will see that later. And eventually, when the job is finished, we just redirect the browser to the to the TMP directory. So that's what we saw before. Yeah, that's a simple results directory. It didn't generate any files, probably ended in an error or something. Yeah. A job directory, once it's created, it will contain a symbolic link to the results directory. You see, this is a symbolic link, so we are going to be able to find this directory at the top level right here. And yeah. So upload request and result directories. Request JSON with job ID and